Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Games from Almost in Full Color. Before we even get into the video, I want to reiterate that we are still doing the free giveaway of the Spider-Man poster. You actually have until the end of August, to get into the running for this. All you have to do, go back, watch our video on the Otakon tour that we did this year for Otakon 2019. Like that video, subscribe to our channel, of course, and comment underneath that video. Those are the only three things you need to do. That'll get you entered into the running to go ahead and get that poster. You don't have to worry about any shipping and handling, none of that type of stuff. We're covering everything. We'll make sure it gets to you safe and sound. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. The story for this game actually centers around Lord Draken, which is actually the evil Green Ranger in the reality where he never became good. And he got tired of being Rita Repulsa's lackey, turned against her, killed her, and took up the mantle of Lord Draken. After that, he decided he wanted to rule the rest of the universe and other realities, so he went around and stole the power morphers from all the different iterations of Power Rangers so that he could tap into the morphing grid and gain even more power. For those of you who don't know, all of the different morphers for the different Power Rangers touch the morphing grid in a different way. So having different morphers from the different Rangers allows him to access more of the morphing grid at one time, thus enhancing his power, which is his ultimate goal, to become the strongest being, or like a god, like he says, by being able to harness all of the morphing grid at once. Now, first off, I want to get into what I actually like about the game before I go into what I don't. Now, what I do enjoy about this game is the gameplay. The gameplay actually is really good. The fighting is really smooth. And even though that the fighting itself is not complicated, it's actually akin to a Naruto title, to where you have 3 buttons that pretty much do combos as long as you mash the buttons or hold a certain direction. And you also have your special attacks hotkey to a single button, in this case X, and it modifies based on which direction you're holding. So, like I said, it's not anything complicated, but it does a good job of being simple, but yet once you start to learn it more in depth, it actually becomes a little more advanced and allows you to string together some really good looking combos. So, with everything else about the game that I do have issues with, and I'll get into those later, the fighting is definitely the best part of it. Now, this game actually comes with a few modes. You have online play, both casual and ranked. So if you want to get your competition on, you can do that. The story mode, which we talked about earlier, you can go through the story. Usually takes about 2 hours or so to complete. The arcade mode, which is just like any fighting game, whether it's a Tekken or a Mortal Kombat. Same thing as those arcade modes. You pick a character and you go through a few stage fights with other characters throughout the game. And now you have your versus mode. Obviously that's for LAN play, like if you and a friend are at the same location and want to play against each other. And finally, the training mode, which gives you the in and out to the battle system, teaches you how to play the game, and it gets really to the point. I mean, I went through it one time and I felt really comfortable with the battle system as a whole. As you can see, the game starts you off with 12 characters to choose from, with an additional 3 that's part of the first Season 1 DLC. And the DLC is where we come with our first gripe of the game. Really my only gripe of the game, but it's the biggest one. And it has nothing to do with the characters offered or the quantity of characters offered. It has everything to do with the cost of the DLC. The DLC is $15. The game itself, the regular standard edition of the game that I purchased, was $20. So, for 3 additional characters, which is an extra 25% of the roster size, they are charging you 75% of the game. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, if this was a $60 game, one, I would be mad if it was a $60 game because it's not worth $60. But it was a $60 game and you were getting 3 additional characters, a la Tekken or Mortal Kombat, you'd be looking at $15, and that's 25% of that cost. Now, if you're going to charge me $20 for this game, then do the same thing. Charge me 25% of the game for additional characters for DLC. So you would be looking at about $5. If these 3 characters were $5, I would have no problem with the DLC, would gladly buy it. I'm not purchasing it, and I don't plan on purchasing it because I'm not spending almost 100% of the game's price just to add 3 characters. It makes no sense. Now, to further drive home how crazy the pricing is for this game, you can see here that the Season 1 pass, which gets you Zed, the Pink Ranger from Time Force, and the Gold Ranger, and also the Red Dragon Shield for the Red Ranger, which is pretty much the Green Ranger's shield, and also he gets to hold the Dragon Zord dagger. You get that for $14.99, pretty much 15 bucks. Now, keep that pricing in mind. And now here's the collector's edition for Battle for the Grid. You can see that for an extra $20, they give you the Season 1 DLC, which is what we just looked at. And they also give you a Lord Dragon skin and a Pink Power Ranger skin. So for 2 extra skins, you're paying $5. Somehow 2 skins is equal to the price of 1 whole DLC character. Again, the pricing for this game is completely off, and that's the only negative part of this game. Everything else is actually really good. But it's like they do not know how to scope the pricing for this game based on what they offered it for, the introductory price of $20. They really have to get the scale right, and I feel like that this game could have a lot of promise, but you can't sell me pretty much in packs of 3 for $15 to try to fill out the Ranger roster. Like you'd end up paying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for this game with all the different Power Rangers they could possibly use. So to wrap things up and stop harping on the price, I want to say that this is actually a really good fighting game. And for anyone who was fans of the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger series as a kid like myself, or for anyone who's actually been keeping up with the series up until this day, this would be a great game to have, especially for $20. Like I said, my only gripe is with the DLC pricing. $15 for 3 characters is just not cutting it. What I'm hoping happens is that no one really purchases the DLC, which forces them to go back to the drawing board, rescale those prices back to what they should be, which is about $5. If that ever happened, this would be 100% must buy, like I said, for fans or anyone who's just looking for a good fighting game, because it really is one, even if you're not a huge Mighty Morphin Power Ranger fan. With the whole Power Ranger series, they have a lot of places to go with it. But at the current price, obviously, it's not viable right now. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.